pulses hum. Geeks paranormal, hear the spirits come. Stream and live to the curious eyes. Cameras flicker while the phantom flies. Every creak in the floor, every cold breeze is a secret the shadows whisper with ease. Protest a voice calm, but the pulse is high. Your driving pulses meet the other wordless sky. Baseline driving like footsteps in the hall. Guitar riffs wail as the shadows call. Poltergeist energy in the dance floor glow. Geeks paranormal makes the haunted show.
Voices in the dark, can you hear them scream? Streaming to the living, living in the dream. Ghost in the static, moving with the beat. Geeks paranormal, feel the night's heartbeat. Candles flicker, screens light the haze. You're trying storm in a spectral maze. From haunted halls to the digital streams, we chase the shadows, we chase the dreams.
Infrared lights scanning the room. Spectacles appear in the jam gloom. Part tester insight streamers keen eye. Tracking the spirits as they float and fly. Spooky whispers while the circle line. Respect like a portal through space and time. Every note builds tension in the haunted air. Geeks paranormal, the ghosts beware. Crowds at home watching the pulse unfold. Stories of the night in the visuals told. Dance with the phantoms, EDM embrace. Ghosts and humans share the same space.
Voices in the dark, can you hear them scream? Streaming to the living, living in the dream. Ghost in the static, moving with the beat. Geeks paranormal, feel the night's heartbeat. Candles flicker, screens light the haze. Driving storm in a spectral maze. From haunted halls to the digital streams, we chase the shadows, we chase the dreams.
Whispers grow, machines hum, ghosts rise,
Lights flicker.
heartbeat slows, darkness pulses.
Are you ready? Streams cut to black.
Silence holds
Only the static
in Geeks paranormal.
in the shadows,
Investigating,
streaming,
protesting.
forever chasing the unseen.
Something waits. Signals the senses hum. Geeks paranormal, hear the spirits come. Stream and live to the curious eyes. Cameras flicker while the phantom flies. Every creak in the floor, every cold breeze is a secret the shadows whisper with ease. Protest a voice calm, but the pulse is high. Your driving pulses meet the other wordless sky. Baseline driving like footsteps in the hall. Guitar riffs wail as the shadows call. Poltergeist energy in the dance floor glow. Geeks paranormal makes the haunted show.
Voices in the dark, can you hear them scream? Streaming to the living in the dream. Ghost in the static, moving with the beat. Geeks paranormal, feel the night's heartbeat. Candles flicker, screens light the haze. Your giant storm in a spectral maze. From haunted halls to the digital streams, we chase the shadows, we chase the dreams.
Infrared lights scanning the room. Specters appear in the EGM gloom. Part tester insight streamers keen-eyed, tracking the spirits as they float and fly. Spooky whispers while the circle line bend like a portal through space and time. Every note builds tension in the haunted air. Geeks paranormal, the ghosts beware. Crowds at home watching the pulse unfold. Stories of the night in the visuals told. Dance with the phantoms, EDM embrace. Ghosts and humans share the same space.
Voices in the dark, can you hear them scream? Streaming to the living in the dream. Ghost in the static, moving with the beat. Geeks paranormal, feel the night's heartbeat.
And action.
You're supposed to say the lines.
Oh, is it? I gotta say that?
Yes.
Public service announcement. The views and opinions are the opinions.
Fuck that bullshit. They are my opinions and my guests, no one else's. Remember, this show ain't for chitlins' ears, so listening discretion and viewing discretion is advised. This is a paranormal horror crime show, so the scenes and the sounds could be a little terrifying to those little ears and those little eyeballs. And of course, there's obviously cussing. I mean, it's me. Also, please don't do anything that these stupid ass people do in this video or this podcast. This is for entertainment purposes and for you guys to listen with your ears. Consume the knowledge. And now, time for the show.
Whispers in the static. Flickering lights. The night is listening. G.E.E.K.S paranormal. Shadows know that something waits. Late night signals, the sensors hum. Geeks paranormal, hear the spirits come. Streaming live to the curious eyes. Cameras flicker while the phantom fly. Poltergeist energy in the dance floor glow. Geeks paranormal makes the haunted show.
Haunted halls to the digital streams. We chase the shadows. We chase the dreams.
Do that.
It's
Are
not
you
a
ready?
pretty sound.
Not a pretty sound.
It's not pretty. It's very loud. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? It's Shauna with Exploring the Paranormal Perspective and the founder of G.E.E.K.S Paranormal. And welcome to the show today. I have a wonderful guest. I have Heather Mattison. I didn't know if you wanted to go by Heather Mattison or Heather Reese, or I should have asked you before I got you on the show.
Oh, Heather Madison is fine. That's fine.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on the show today.
Uh-huh.
She actually was one of the first ones to reach out to me to get onto the show. So I was really thankful that she did, because we are going to talk about the Graestone Manor today, because she is the happy owner of it. But before we go into the Graestone Manor, you are an international psychic medium. You're an author. You're a Reiki master. You're a paranormal investigator. You're a psychometrician, medical empath, ordained minister. When do you sleep, woman?
I'm definitely, yeah, a lot of irons in the fire. Yep, busy. But they all sort of go together. They all sort of go together, though.
How did you realize you had this gift?
I would always sort of sensitive to things ever since I was really small. It runs in the family. My grandmother used to read tea leaves and things like that, so she was sensitive to things as well. But really, it started for me. I started getting like a lot of I got messages and things started really taking off for me when I was about 20. I think I was 21 or 20. I had an accident. I drowned at Huntington Beach out in California. It's a surf beach out there. And when I came out of the water and everything, all of a sudden I was able to like see people around people. I could hear things. I could tell when someone was sick, or I was just picking up a lot of weird things on people. It seemed to just, the gifts I already had, where I was sensitive to certain things, it just seemed to be like pouring gasoline on a fire. It just sort of took off.
Oh my gosh. So it was really overwhelming for you at first.
It was, yeah, I tried to block it. At first, I definitely was trying to ignore it, block it, because it was too weird. Plus, I was sensing things on people that didn't seem right. You know how you get like a weird vibe or a feeling of somebody and you're like, oh, they wouldn't do that, or that seems odd, but then sure, it comes to light later, like, oh, okay. And then I did try and ignore it. So I tried to push it away, ignore it. And the reason I started really getting back into it again, or I started really sort of paying attention to it more, or trying to hone it a little bit, was when my daughter was born, because she told me all about how she had she was telling me all about her past life and her name she did, and then she died in a car crash, and she was only 2 years old at the time. And then I started sort of looking into past life and anything like that, any reincarnation history, because I thought that was fascinating. I kept writing it down, taking notes on things she would tell me. And years later, because it was really funny, she would talk about her past life like it was like current, like it was happening as we speak. Because she used to talk about her brother that she used to have, and her name was Brina, and her grandmother who made her these amazing dinners, and she would describe the food she would cook for her. It was nothing I made. And she was 2. And it was so funny. And then one day she just decided, or she told us, I was trying to get more information out of her. And I was giving her a bath because it was quiet and I could ask her questions. That's what I would do. I would have her so that I could like focus and she could focus on me. And then I started asking her questions like, hey, do you remember your last name? Like, what did you work? Like, what did you used to do? Blah, blah, blah. She goes, oh, I was told I'm not allowed to talk about that anymore. And I said, what? Really? I said, what do you mean? Who? What do you mean? Who told you you're not allowed to? She said, they told me I get in trouble. I'm not supposed to be remembering this stuff and I'm not allowed to talk it. And she was getting really mad. She goes, I'm not allowed to talk about it anymore. They told me not to talk about it anymore. And I said, well, who are they? And then she got really pissed off and she wouldn't talk anymore. And she never mentioned it again. So I don't know if these are angels or guides or whoever, because it was so, for her, it was so, I guess, as if she just stepped out of that life and stepped into this one. It was so familiar to her,
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
And but she told me how she died in a car wreck. She tried to fix the car. She gave me all these funny details, and it was a white car. She hit a tree. She told me all about how the accident happened. And then when she was 16 years old, and this was when she was 2, and that was the last thing she said when she was 2 years old. And then when she was 16, I had already taught her brother how to drive. I'm a terrible driver, but I taught my son how to drive, and he got his license first try. I was very proud of myself.
Yay!
So no problem. But he did the normal thing when you're teaching somebody how to drive. You know, he was nervous and all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, I went to teach her how to drive when she was 16. And she gets in the car and she goes, I knew she died in a car wreck. And she's like, she gets in the car. We're in the church parking lot. And I'm like, let's just practice. I want you to get a feel for the car. Just drive around. It was a weekday, so there's nobody there. I'm like, just drive around, get a feel for the car. She goes, this is so weird. She goes, I feel like I know how to drive already. She's like, I feel like I know how to drive. She goes, I want to just drive. I'm like, no. You got to get a feel for the car. Like the braking, you know, you got to really ease up to the stop signs. Like take your
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, this is weird. I feel like I know how to drive. And I know she does know how to drive because she died in a car accident. So anyway, so I'm sort of ignoring her. I'm just saying, no, stay in the parking lot.
Yeah.
She goes, no, I'm going to go on the road. And we're in a neighborhood. It's a suburban neighborhood. Like, there's cars and kids on bikes and there's stuff everywhere, you know. And she pulls right out the parking lot and starts driving the neighborhood perfectly.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, this is so strange. I feel like so comfortable. I feel like I've driven for like my whole life. And then I said, well, there's a reason for that. And I started explaining to her. And I never told her because I thought it would freak her out. I didn't want her to feel like a weirdo or strange. She was telling me all this strange stuff. And I told her all this stuff. She goes, wait, what do you, she goes, that is amazing. She goes, do you have, because I told her I took notes. I wrote things down, names she gave me. At one point, I asked her what her phone number was, and she said it was TR3405. She gave me letters and numbers, and so I had certain things like that she had given me written down. And at that point, when she was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and then we had moved up to the Buffalo area when she was like about 2, turning 3, and that's where she was telling me all this stuff about the accident way back then. So anyway. She goes, you have notes? I said, yeah. She goes, I want to see your notes. So she went home, she started going through all the notes and started going on the internet, looking up the phone number, looking up all the information I gave her. And she found the phone number that with the TR3405, there were only 2 cities that had that exchange, TR and 4 numbers. And it was Denver and it was Atlanta, which is super creepy because that's what she was born, was Atlanta.
Right?
Yeah. And then, because she would always say all these Southern things, she had a Southern accent too, which she was only down there till she was 2, and she still has an accent to this day. Like she says, people she works with make fun of her because she'll say certain words with a twang, like she definitely has an accent, but she shouldn't.
I get it.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so it was very, very strange. So we started digging into that. She was trying to find herself because it was a car wreck, but we really couldn't find anything as far as an accident goes. Who knows? Back then, it would have we think it was maybe the 20s. Because it said 1920s somewhere in there, but
Oh my God.
so anyway, that just opened whole weird for me. That was really eye opening because this was when she was a little kid. Like she didn't tell stories, she didn't make stuff up, and she was watching like Barney and stuff. She wasn't watching shows, but I would catch her watching like old black and white movies. Like after she was telling me all the stuff about her past life, gangster movies and stuff. Weird movies, and she'd be laughing. She'd sit on the couch and they'd say like off-color jokes, you know. It was like old humor, like old-timey 19 these movies are probably in the 30s or whatever, and she'd be sitting there ha 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 like laughing. I'm like, why are you laughing at that? Why do you know what that is? It was freaking me out. So she was a weird little kid. Yeah,
that would be amazing though, especially if she could find out who it was.
I know. And we know her name. I kept trying to get her last name. Couldn't get the last name. She thought it was a J. She thought it was like Johns or Johnson or something weird like that with a J.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, but that was very weird. If someone else had told me that story, I would have been, oh, sure, you know, but this happened to me right in front of me, you know, with no nothing like that. And again, talk to a 2-year-old sometime. Like she had full vocabulary. She talked like a gangster. She had this real gruff voice. She talked like that. She was real funny. She was a funny little kid. So who knows? And she was always asking me for weird food. She wanted like vanilla ice cream with maple syrup on it and strange stuff that we've never even eaten before. But she would ask me for all these strange foods that like her grandmother used to make her. So
Wow.
very, very weird.
And that made
Yeah,
you
so
just want
something's
to
going on.
really go into it.
Yeah, then I started to like reading up on things and getting into it a little bit more. And then with my abilities, with, you know, opening up a little bit more, focusing on that more, see what I could get on people, you know. And then the only reason I started doing public readings for people or reaching out, or people having been reaching out to me, was because friends, it was my sister-in-law and their friends. We were at some party, we were talking one time, and my sister started telling them about, yeah, she can like pick up on people, she can pick up things, and they're like, wait, read me, what do I have, you know? And I was like, I don't know. So then I started focusing on them, and sure enough, all this weird stuff started coming forward. And then the other people would be like, wait, what about me? And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, who's around me? And I'd be like, well, I do see a man, or I see this or that, you know. So I would describe what I was feeling and sensing. So sort of starting out with that, like baby steps, basically, you know, trying that out on people that I didn't really know. Like I knew her sister-in-law, but I didn't know her friends. I didn't know what their background were or anything, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you think, why do you think it's a lot of people's third eye, or that part of them doesn't open up until like a near death?
Until when?
Until like a near death experience or a death experience, come back to life. Because I know a lot of people say, well, I didn't have this ability until, but you said your grandmother had it, so.
Yeah, it sort of runs in the family. We're all sort of sensitives and psychic to a point, but I did ask that because I wrote a couple books, and it wasn't me, it was my spirit guides writing, because I channel. I was allowing them to write through me, and I was asking all kinds of funny questions like, what's ESP? What happens when you die? Like I was asking all these, you know, everything you'd sort of think of in the universe. And they explained that to me because I asked that. I said, well, how, like, what is going on? Like, why, when you have a near-death experience, you come back, because you hear about people having surgeries where they die on the table, come back, and all of a sudden they've got this weird awareness and all this stuff happens. They said, well, basically, a couple of different things are happening. One thing is when you're sent down to Earth for reincarnations, your spirit is moving clockwise. Your spirit moves in a clockwise motion. You're an energy. Your spirit is like a ball of energy, basically, and you're swirling. You're moving in a clockwise motion to being sent down to Earth. They always talk about above and below, right? So above, heaven, the higher order. My guides call it the higher order. They don't use like heaven. They use different terminology, but basically it's the same idea. They said, so basically you're sent down from the spirit realms. You're coming down to Earth for reincarnation. And then when you have a near-death experience, your spirit is now heading counterclockwise. It's now heading up. So it's now moving in a different motion. It's heading up. And when you get to a certain point, you know, you'll have relatives step in and say, it's not your time yet, go back down. But what's happened now is that you've got a foot in both worlds. You're now in the living world, and now you've already peeked into that afterlife. And people will describe like, yeah, I saw my grandmother, I saw my mother, I saw people, and they told me to come back. So now you're connected. And also now your spirit is moving funny. It's moving like weirdly. But that's why people who've had near-death experience, yeah, it's sort of, yeah, it's definitely acting strange. It's moving cattywampus. And the thing is that when it comes to that, with the spirit moving funny, they'll have earthbound spirits, ghosts, people who haven't crossed over properly will seek you out because they think they're trying to hitch a ride. Basically, they also think that you can hear them because your color also changes, your aura color changes. The color of the higher order, which they've shown me in near-death experience, I've seen it. It's like a magenta, light blue, really light pale blue, and like magentas and purples and white, like this crazy white color. It looks like milk, and it looks like it's moving. It looks viscous. It looks like it's got a thickness, like you could put your hand in it.
Oh,
and
wow.
Like what it looks like is, you know, if you have a field of wheat and there's wind blowing over it and it moves.
Oh yeah, it was like that smooth.
That's what the white stuff moves. And then there's the color above it. I can't describe it. It doesn't exist. Like here's like a magenta, like this. It's not it's this color, but it's not this color. It looks like it's lit up from behind. It's super weird.
Like a neon light kind of glow.
Yeah. So it's like, so then your aura color changes to like a purpley color, purpley blue is how they describe it to me. And then the earthbound spirits are will see that, and they recognize it as the higher order, and that's why they want to go. They want to go up to the higher order because they're stuck on Earth. So they'll come to you. That's why people who've had near-death experiences will have weird mood changes. They'll feel like someone's following them. They feel like they'll have attachments. And that's what your spirit guides are for. They're actually very important. Your spirit guides can lead those energies away from you. They're the ones who will call in angels. They'll bring in people like, okay, we've got someone now with you. We're going to lead them away from it because it's not your job to cross them. But then they are being alerted that there's someone who's now found you, and they could follow you back from the mall. They could follow you from anywhere. You don't have to go to a haunted location. You could just be out on this, walking down the street. And then if someone died in a car wreck or something, they'll be like, oh, hey, can you help me? Can you help me? And they'll come up to you. A lot of times people will describe feeling like headachy or sick, or all of a sudden their back hurts, or however the person died, they start feeling their symptoms and also their mood. Or they'll feel very sad or something weird happened. That's when I know something's going on, like something's around them. And the people who have had near-death experiences, it's such a common thing to have their moods sort of all over the place sometimes, but it's usually other people are doing this to them. They'll make them take cat naps. They'll make them sleep for like 10 minutes. They can't watch like an entire movie or watch TV. You'll fall asleep for like 10 minutes. And then you fall asleep, and then they'll take this energy off of it, and then you feel a million times better. You'll feel like you've been lifted, like something's been lifted off of you.
Right. Oh,
so that's as well. So there's a couple of different things going on there, but that's a big one though. They explain that that's why, because now after the near death, you're definitely linked into the higher order, and you'll start hearing them talk to you, communicating with you. Like for me, a clairaudient, they explained to me way back then that we're going to be talking to you. We're not going to show you like who's around you, because you'd freak out. If you could actually see who's in the room with you, you would be very, first of all, distracted. And it would freak you out because everybody's got a spirit guide with them. You've got angels with you. There's people who passed. So there's, like they said, any room is not really empty. There's always stuff going on in there. There's a lot of different beings in there. Yeah.
I think I would feel a little overwhelmed if I saw how many people were in a room too.
That's what they said. They said it's bad enough that I hear them. So it's like, okay. Yeah.
So they just like your guides, do they just reveal who is like, okay, let me rephrase this. So say you're reading someone and that someone is asking you if there's anybody around them. Is that when they open your eyes to see, or do you just automatically see?
I'll ask them what I ask for them for like a reading. I always ask for their spirit guide, the person who's basically their main spirit helper, whoever's helping them out. Everybody has like their one main spirit guide that comes down to earth with them from the spirit realms. These are people who would be part of your spirit family. They would be part of your spirit group. These spirits are also, because they're part of your spirit family, they would know you very well. And they can agree to basically partner with you and come down to earth as a babysitter. They sort of make sure your life is going okay. They never leave your side. They're always on your right-hand side. But the other thing about these spirits is they're a lot older than you, and they've already done all of their reincarnations. They no longer come to earth anymore. So now what jobs, if you want, is they can choose to be a spirit guide for someone. So they don't come to earth anymore in human form. They basically graduated, because you could reincarnate anywhere from like 13 to 21 times. Because what you're doing is basically learning lessons every time you come to earth, gaining knowledge. It's like a snowball. So every time you come to earth, you're gaining more knowledge, bigger, bigger, bigger as you go along, until basically you're, I guess, to the point where you've learned all you could learn. You're as advanced as you could possibly get. And then you're like, okay, well, you don't have to come back to earth anymore. You've basically graduated. You're good. Now you can help other people, because you just start out as a blob of energy. You don't you don't look like anything. You're a blob of energy, and then you get put into a human form. And then when you die, that's what you look like. You look like the last human you were. And the other cool thing is when you're done with all your reincarnations and you've gone up to the spirit realms, and you can choose your permanent look. So say you've lived like 19 lives. They'll line all your people up, and then you get to pick whichever life you're the happiest in, or the one you felt most comfortable in. Even if you died when you're 80, though, in those lives, you'll go back to the prime of your life. You go back to looking about 30 of whatever life it was. And then you can pick that's your permanent look.
I want to be 30 and skinny.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We'll line up your people and be like, oh, this is the one that's the happiest. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
That would kind of be awkward, though. Well, not awkward, but looking at your line of people, it's like, okay, well, this person was a bad person, but she was pretty, or this person was a great person, but kind of old, and I don't want to look like that. But I want to look like that with that attitude and
Right. Well, you know, but it's your spirit though. Like your spirit
true.
doesn't change. Your spirit literally doesn't change.
So
They
it's
put
just you as a whole.
they put it in your blob of energy. You know, people take pictures of orbs and things like that. So it's basically they're pictures of that spirit energy. In that spirit energy, everybody's coded with certain gifts. So you start out from the get-go. From the minute you start out with, okay, you're artistic and you're going to be a singer and you're going to, you know, paint, but you're also going to have humanitarian aspects. You're going to be really good with animals and you're going to be blah, blah, blah. So they put all these funny things in there, but then you'll have other people who are like, you're a scientist and you're, you know, a mathematician. You're blah, blah, blah. They'll give you all different gifts, you know. So people start with those funny gifts and then you just have to adapt. So then they put you in a different body form. So you're in China one lifetime, then you're in Russia, and then you're in Africa. You're all over the planet. That's it. That's why I always laugh about people who are racist. Because like, hey, you know, you are not what you look like. On the outside, that is like the last thing on earth you are is what you're looking at. It has nothing to do with your spirit energy. Is its own thing. You know, it's totally different. And it's interchangeable. So you've usually been all over the place too. So by the time you're done, you've probably lived and all that, but then you just have to adapt. So whatever your goals are, and
I can't
you know,
wait to meet all the ones that I have. If they're as crazy as I am today, then.
And that's the thing. Like, oh, you know, yeah, I you know, even though your personality, because even your sense of humor, all that stuff stays intact. It's really funny. Things you're drawn to, things you like, will stay the same. Like I love the color blue, and you like the color blue in every lifetime. It's very, very weird. So all that does remain. And then they also tell you, which is sort of funny, the spirits are created either majority female or male. They really are classified in different, because you're going to be living predominantly in one form or another. Mostly males, mostly females, but you are created mostly male or female. And the funny thing is you have to live at least one lifetime as the opposite sex at some point. One of the lifetimes you're going to have to.
Believe it.
And the reason you do it is because if you're a spirit guide, you can be a spirit guide for a male, even though you're female, you can then be a guide for a male and vice versa. Because people will say like, my spirit guide's a man. How would he know what I'm going through? And they said, because he would have had to have lived at least one lifetime as a female.
Right.
So he can sort of understand.
The male.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so interesting, especially hearing it from somebody that talks to the spirits about it themselves. So whenever you do, has anybody ever, well, I'm trying to think of how to answer or ask this, because I want to ask it in a way, like if I were to come to you, if I were to come to you and say, okay, I want to know in my past life if I was a male, would you be able to see into their, or speak to the spirit guides and ask the spirit guides who that person was before?
Yeah, I've done that before, because some people, if you do like a 45-minute reading with me or an hour, I'll do your past life, but I'll do your most past life. That gets added into that, but only because sometimes that does link. There's a lot of residual. Some stuff you dealt with the last lifetime, you do pull into this lifetime. You could have been dealing with something weird last lifetime that was never sort of corrected or fixed, and then you still have to deal with it in this lifetime. So a lot of the stuff will be brought into this lifetime, things that you're dealing with last lifetime. But I can do past life readings where I'll go back, because people ask me to go back like 3 or 4 lifetimes. They'll stack, you know, like what was I doing 3 lifetimes back? And then sometimes in there that other one will show up in there. But then I'll ask your guides, were you ever a male? Was this person ever a male? And they'll say yes. In 600, they were a male, or they were in the Crusades, or they were doing this or that. And they'll explain what they had to deal with.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, so it gets a little funny. Because if you go back 2,000 years, you know.
Oh, my gosh.
Well,
depending on, I could talk.
Hopefully you go through quick. You don't have to live that many lives, but you want to.
Exactly. Yeah. By that time, you should have already lived your 31 lives. You need to go.
Exactly.
Graduate already.
Right? Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, I could talk to you for hours about what you do, but I know one of the main things we want to talk about is the elephant in the room. Well, or the ghost in the room. That is Graestone Manor. What brought you to Graestone Manor? Did you just see an ad in the paper saying "Old Victoria house for sale, come and see"? Or look.
No, we it was funny. My husband and I had just met about a year before we bought the house, but I had my own house, and I was living in the suburbs. He's from the country. He literally grew up on a mountain. Like 25 kids in his graduating class. Like he's from the country, and yeah. So it was sort of funny. We met. We were in a very crowded suburban area, and he wanted land. He wanted to get out of that part of the city. So we started looking, and I like older homes. Like my house that I owned there was a 1920 home itself. It had French doors. It was really cool. It was a big old house. But I really wanted something older with some character, but still with land around it. So we started looking and couldn't find anything we liked. Like everything needed so much work. Oh my God. So, how the older homes are a nightmare. Yeah. They look great, but oh my God, to fix them up costs an absolute fortune. So we gave up. And we're like, you know what? I get rid of all the apps on my phone, like Zillow and all that. Got rid of everything. And I'm like, let's give it like 6 months and we'll try again. We're like, okay, cool. And then in the meantime, the listing for this house kept showing up on my phone. I kept getting alerts. Hey, we found a house for you. And I'm like, delete. I'm like, oh, I'm not looking right now. Delete. Came up like 4 times. And the 4th time it came up, I'm like, what in the hell with this house? And no other ones, just that one. And so I called I'd been working with the real estate agent, and I'm like, hey, we want to look at this house. And the pictures for the listing of this house was so funny because they were the worst pictures ever. They took a picture of the corner of the front of the house, not pretty side, not the bay windows. And then inside the house would be like the corner of a room, like not the fireplace. It's not pretty. It was totally empty too. Nothing in it, no furniture. And I'm like, well, it's sort of a plain house. And you couldn't tell how big the rooms were or anything. It was just very bad listing. And but anyway, I told my friend, I'm like, hey, I want to look at this house. So she goes, okay, I've got 2 other ones for you that are sort of what you're looking for, the old Victorian stuff. I'm like, all right. So we came to this house first, walked in, and she got a text from the listing agent saying the house is sold. It's not on the market anymore.
Oh, no.
She's like, ah, crap. So we just walked into the kitchen. My husband, though, had gone into the basement, and he was looking around, and basement was nice and dry. They had just poured a brand new concrete floor down there, and he liked how nice it was. Like the downstairs was in actually really good shape. And that was the first time we'd seen anything that looked halfway decent in the basement. In a Victorian, usually they're very awful. But anyway, so he liked the way that looked. He didn't go upstairs, though. Neither did I. So we didn't look. And I walked in the kitchen and walked right back out. So I didn't get a chance to look at the house at all. And then we went to go look at the other 2 houses. We didn't like either of them. They were both really, really bad shape. They did tons of work. So we got home, and my husband was like, I really like that first house we looked at. I'm like, well, I didn't really look at it, and it's sold. He goes, yeah, they put a bid on it, but doesn't mean, like, we could bid maybe higher. Maybe they bid low. Oh. He goes, I'm going to bid on it, but we were going for a VA loan, and the house is in bank foreclosure. So those are 2 notorious agencies that don't play well together, and usually, especially the VA, they will not allow a mortgage for a house this old because it was listed at 1865, right? So he goes, don't worry about it. It's not going to go through anyway. I'm just goofing around. He goes, so I'm just going to put a bid in. So he put a bid in on it. And then we get a phone call the next day going, hey, you guys bought a house. And we were like, what? We had no idea. And like, we didn't even look at it. So I had to call my friend and be like, hey, we got to go back to the house. She goes, oh, you can't. I just got the message. You're under contract. You can't go back through it till your final walkthrough. And they're like, well, we never looked at it. And the whole time my husband's like, it's not going to go through anyway. I'm like, I ain't bothered. So we were sort of ignoring it, but apparently they were taking it seriously. We weren't. Right? We had a house. So anyway, comes time, because New York State everything takes forever up here. And the final walkthrough was like 2 months later. And so I told her, I'm like, make sure we have to go with you through the walkthrough, because it's like a 45-minute drive for us from where we were living. So it wasn't close. Yeah. It was a little bit of a hike to get out here. Anyway, I get this text from her, and this is now 2 months later. She goes, hey, your walkthrough went great. And we're like, what? I'm like, no. We had to be with you. We didn't get a chance to look at that. She goes, oh, yeah, you're all good. Everything's good. I checked everything. You're all good. And like, no, I wanted to get a read on it. Right. And you know, when you go into a place, anybody going in, you get a vibe. You know how you walk in
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, it's nice in here, or oh, it's weird. Like something.
Exactly.
So I
Yeah.
never got a chance to do that at all. She did the walkthrough for us. She goes, that's all great. And I'm like, no. And I said, we have to go through it. She goes, oh, well, she said something like she said, well, you guys can't really go back in there until closing. We're like, okay. So we never got a chance to look at this place. So we had to sneak over here, like look in the windows, see if we could even see what the rooms look like.
Yeah.
And we couldn't see the second floor, obviously. It's way too high. So yeah, so it was very, very, very weird. And then sure enough, came time for the closing and everything went through. And we did come back and took some more pictures. And that was the day that my husband caught something in one of the windows. We brought his daughter and granddaughter with us, and they were sitting outside on the carriage. There's like a carriage step out there. And they had been sitting out there like playing. They were like goofing around, sitting on that step. And so they were not at the back of the house at all. They were just sort of hanging out at the front. And he thought he saw his daughter walk up next to him because he was looking in the back windows like this. And he has hands up. He was looking in the back door trying to see what the back hallway looked like.
Yeah.
And he said his daughter walked up to him and he could see her legs and feet like this. He looked down, he could see her
Right.
She walked like uncomfortably right up next to him, like because her face would have been right
Oh
here.
my God.
And he put his hands on her real quick to say, like, what are you doing? And there's nobody
Right.
there. And he goes, oh, okay. And he's a total skeptic. He's ex-military. He's the one who's like, oh, it's happening because it's humid outside. You know, like he's totally tries to
Yep.
debunk everything,
Yep.
even though that's what I do for a living. But he would always try and be the voice of reason, like, oh yeah, that's because of this. So anyway, he took pictures, came back home, and he was downloading his pictures on the computer and blowing them up. And he goes, there's a woman in the window, in the downstairs bay window, like looking at my daughter and granddaughter. She's got the curtains pulled back. You can see her face. And he goes, tell me this is what you're seeing. He showed it to me. He goes, what do you see? I'm like, oh my God, you can see a face clearly. And she's watching. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's the first time we knew something was up. But we didn't really know. We knew nothing about it. We're not from this area. Then we moved in.
And you weren't able to do the walkthrough. And
yeah, so we couldn't get a vibe. It was really funny because we had like 35 people here. Like all my nieces and nephews, everybody's here, everybody's helping us move in. And it was like chaos. You know how that is when you move in.
Yeah.
But that's when we know something was up, or knew something was up, because the next morning we woke up, we're trying to get like a cup of coffee, sitting in the main parlor. And all of a sudden, right above us is what we call the green room. It's one of the main B&B rooms. And we were hearing, it sounded like a dresser. You know, when you open an empty dresser drawers, and it goes boom, boom, that sound. In the room above us, and footsteps. We heard somebody like running, and we're looking at each other. We're like, did somebody stay overnight? Like, thought maybe somebody didn't want to drive all the way back home, and they stayed or something. And we're like, there's no cars. And we're looking around. And we go up there, nothing upstairs, nothing's moved. Everything's still sitting there. And we're like, ooh, that's weird. So we had no idea. But then we started hearing from the town supervisor was making cracks about, oh, you bought the town haunted house. And there were reports of, what did they say? They saw lights, like weird lights on the roof of the house, and strange stuff that people had witnessed seeing here at the house. And then some other, the town historian, we got a hold of him. He was telling us about all this stuff that happened in our house, supposedly the unmarked graves. And then other people who had we started opening the house up, because I was asking who was in the house. And that's when I talked to the former owner, Curtis Root and Melissa Root were here, still in the house. And they were talking to me, saying, well, we wanted family back in the house, is what Curtis told me. And he died in 1889. But he's sitting there going, we wanted family back in the house. And so did Melissa, his wife, who died in 1901. And she was in the front hall. I see her a lot in the front hall. But they were like saying that. And I thought they meant because I come from a big family. Like there's 8 kids in my family, and my husband too. There's 8 kids in his family, like brothers and sisters. We have like big families. And we do holidays here. We do all the Christmas and all that. So come to find out, a couple years later, my cousin was doing his ancestry.com, doing our family tree. And he got a hold of me, goes, hey, I just want to let you know, we're actually blood related to the Root family. That Curtis Root and Melissa Root are our cousins, and that we have the same 3 times great grandfather. This guy Joshua Root had 3 boys. So Thomas Root is Curtis Root's line. That's his family. There was a Joshua Root Jr. line, which is us. And then there was another brother, Thomas. and that's the other line. So there's 3 brothers. They all had kids. The reason the Roots disappear on our family line, the Joshua Root Jr. line, is because he had a daughter. Her name was Dorcas. So this woman, Dorcas, married into the Lynch family, and then that name Root disappears. So that's why it was hard for us to trace back to the roots, because they're so far back. But the creepiest part of all of that is that when those people were all living, so when those cousins were all around, it was when they were living here, because it's that many generations back. They all would have known each other. They would have been very, very close to each other because it would have been first cousins. So
Wow.
how bizarre is that? But anyway,
That is so bizarre. They were reaching out to you.
yeah, and the house, they couldn't sell this house. It sat for 4 years. No one would buy it. And the sales kept falling through for like weird reasons. Like funding would fall through, but it wasn't even the person's fault. The mistakes were made at the bank, like weird things. We met a lady at one of the shows we did one time who had put a bid on this house. She was gonna buy it. And but her plan was to gut the whole inside of the house and turn it into a big open floor plan, like a modern house. And this is a big old Victoria with like
Why would
pocket
you
doors.
want
She's
to do
gonna
that
remove.
to a Victoria? Oh my god.
And it's all beautiful, like 200-year-old woodwork and everything. She was gonna rip all that out, make it a big ugly floor. I'm like, they would have killed, because we move anything in this house, we change anything, and we get scratched, we get messed with. Like, they don't like change. They don't like when you move anything in here. And like, they would have killed her.
Oh my god, right? She would have been down at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
Not good.
But then I was put into contact with Ginger, and she was the lady who had the house before us. She's the one who sort of saved the house from really falling apart. It was in really rough shape when she bought it. The inside looked good. You know, it still had, all the pocket doors, everything, all the original stuff was in here, but the outside looked like it had been just through a disaster. It was paint was all off it. There were windows missing. Things were boarded up. It was a mess. But she ran all new electric, all new plumbing, put a whole new roof on it, did all new gutters. She did all the stuff you don't see in a house. Like, she saved it. She fixed this house. And I was finally put in contact with her about 6 months after we moved in. We had guests here because we started opening the house up for, at first, I just wanted to have like my friends who were psychics and people who I had helped, like other paranormal teams, like do investigations in other parts of the city. And I'm like, can you guys come over? And I wouldn't tell them why. If this is at the very beginning, I'm like, just come over, tell me what you feel in here. I'm not going to tell you anything, what we're experiencing or anything, but I want you to just walk around, let me know what you feel or where you feel things. And it was hilarious because each person, we made a beeline to the same parts of the house. Oh, there's a man in here. There's a female that hangs out in this hallway. We hear humming. I'm like, yes, we hear singing and humming at the top of the stairs. And they all went to the same spots. And then I would have the paranormal teams come in and I'm like, same, wouldn't tell them anything. Well, and they were catching EVPs and people talking crazy stuff. And so then we knew something was going on. That's why we sort of opened it up to the public. One thing led to another. People were asking to stay over, but they were calling from like North Carolina and they wanted to come in from like out of state to stay. And like, well, why don't we just do a B&B? That way we're covered insurance wise. Right. That way if they stay overnight, it's good, because I was worried about people being in the house that got hurt, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, well, let's just do B&B. That way they can stay if they want. And then we can open it up to normal people. So if people want to stay and go to like Niagara Falls, it's still a technically B. That's why our website's funny. We had to say it's known to have spirit activity, but it's 200 years old. Any old building's got a lot of crazy history. We had no idea the history really until we started digging into it more and then finding more and more out, Ginger put it into the historic registry. So we knew a lot that she had discovered putting into the registry, but then we just started doing more and more research and found more information. And then we were hooked up with a bunch of historians that had been here way back in the 1990s, who suspected that our land was part of a Erie Canal workers encampment, where the workers would have been in the field behind the house, which turns out to be it's an acre size burial mound. So they think there might be up to like 1,000 people in there, and they think there might be giants buried back there. Because 10 minutes from us, there's a neuter Native American fort on what's called Salt Works Road, and it's like 10 minutes going into Medina area. And they dug into that fort in the burial mound back in the 1800s, and they pulled out all these like 10 and 12-foot skeletons of these giants, and they all have like the long skulls, elongated skulls.
Yeah.
And they have sketches and drawings of all the stuff they found. And of course, the government swooped right in,
Of
took all
course
this,
they did.
and then, oh, we can't find them. So,
Mhm.
but the locals, the people who dug them out of there, were like, this is what we found. They had all measured, everything was measured, and everything was drawn out exactly how they were placed in the mound. And
Oh, wow.
so the historians that have been here the last couple of years now, they've been doing a lot of research, and they think there's good possibility that there are more giants back there because their equipment is going off the charts. Like they're getting readings that are crazy. And this guy wrote 4 books on the subject. His name is Joe Biscaglia, on burial mounds. Like that's his thing. That's what he specializes in. But he's been to like
Wow.
Serpents Mound in Ohio and all over the place. And he said this is the biggest one they've ever found. He says it's massive.
Oh.
And he said whatever's going on in here is crazy. And but because we get the lights back there that float above the ground,
Right.
and we get all kinds of stuff, people walking around back there, and all kinds of shadow figures, but then also people hearing voices and talking and all kinds of stuff back there.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, I had a lot of people talk about New York and how New York is really has a lot of fairies and upwoodgy,
Oh yeah.
like that. And
Mhm.
do you guys experience that at Graestone too, or?
Yeah, we do have we have fairy rings, fairy circles. We have a lot of the mushroom circles that
Mhm.
appear on the ground as natural ones for the fairy folk and things like the fae folk. And also the will-o'-the-wisp. So we get a lot of those balls of light that hover above the ground, but we get them in the trees. So they hover above the trees, and sometimes they'll just move erratically. Sometimes they'll shoot off to the side. And we had 2 girls that were here staying overnight, and they were having a campfire out back because we have like a couple campfire pits on the property, and they were just having a little campfire sitting around, and they were seeing the lights in the trees. They were watching them, and then one shot right at them, came out of the tree line and shot over their heads, and it flew over their heads and took off. And they look like they're big. They look like softball size, and they look like Chinese lanterns, that orange glowing color, but they're
Oh
definitely
yeah.
flame, and they're
Yep.
producing their own light. And then we had this guy, his name's Ben, this Ben Strongwolf. He was out here, he came in, he's Mohawk, a native, and he came in from Michigan, I believe. Yeah, Michigan, I think is where he is. And he put up military cameras out back to catch the lights, and he had them
Wow.
running all night long, and they're infrared. And he caught the lights in the trees. And I have it on my site. It's on the website, and I believe it's on my Facebook page too, the Graestone Manor page. So you can go back and watch it. It's on there somewhere. I think I have it tagged. But you can watch the lights appear, and then you see infrared. You can see the tree line. It's dark, so it's night vision, and the trees are dark. And then all of a sudden, the balls of light appear above the tree line, and then the whole tops of the trees light up in infrared, bright white, like there's light and balls of light that's lighting up the treetops. And he was trying to get a handle on the size. He says like size of like 3 football fields, so it's a big area. So whatever these things
Holy
are,
hell.
fading up, and then they would fade because these things like fade out. And then they'll like pop up somewhere else and they'll reappear. But they were definitely emitting this strange light that the infrared was picking up.
Do they think that it might have been like the paranormal, or do you think it's UFO, or?
That's the thing, we don't know, because there were reports of UFOs back there too. People had spaceships land in our area, and then there were crop circles that appeared. Crop circles appeared in China in the 1990s. I was doing a lot of research into that because I'm not a UFO person at all. Like paranormal, psychic stuff, sure. Like that stuff makes sense to me. But then they all talking about UFOs, and I'm like, wait, what? And sure enough, I had people reach out. Locals were like, yeah, my 3 houses down. This is way back in the must have been the 90s, probably when that spaceship appeared. She said her mom was in the kitchen. It was 3 a.m, middle of the night, because they were hearing noises outside, but then there was blue flashing light, and they couldn't tell where it was coming from. The sky was like flashing this blue color. So she was in the kitchen, looking out the kitchen window, looking at the back field towards the back of our house, the same hedge, our tree line where we see these lights. And she said 3 grays. She saw 3 aliens, grays with the big eyes, the grays, the little ones, walking towards her house. through the field, walking
What?
through like the cornfields, walking towards her house. And it freaked her out. She called the police. Like there's all these police reports and stuff of people seeing these, and then they disappeared or wherever
Of
they went.
course.
Yeah.
Oh my
But this is all,
gosh.
and like the lady was telling me too, she's like, and my mom, she's like, she's just like the straightest arrow, normal, regular mom. Like she's not into any of that stuff. But whatever she saw freaked her out bad enough that she called the police and everything. So, and
Right?
she's down, that's what she saw. That's what she saw. So there's UFO stuff as well back there. So who knows? But then again, there's theories of the, you know, the burial mounds, who's actually buried in there. The
Right.
Iroquois, the Native Americans in this area, they swear up and down they have nothing to do with the burial mounds. They think that
Really?
they say they were there way before they settled there, because they said that the giants were there first, and then Anunnaki.
Right.
In Iroquois culture, they talk about how we live on the back of a giant turtle and all that. Did you ever hear about the Native American
Yeah.
culture beliefs? And one thing they say is that there were giants here, and they helped them, showed them how to plant, how to survive, how to build houses. They basically were showing them everything, how to do everything, and then they all took off. They left, and then the Native here.
That's the biggest question that I think everybody has. Where'd they take off to? What happened to them?
All down in Antarctica.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I was just talking to somebody about that the other day too. It's
Yeah,
like,
who knows?
Antarctica's closed off to everybody. Nobody can go there. So it's either aliens or giants or
Well, they had, did you ever see that?
something.
Was it Admiral Byrd? It was some explorer, turn of the century, or no, like 1910. They have aerial video of Antarctica, and he has his own notes. You can sort of Google it and look it up, because he said, oh, well, there's like green spaces in Antarctica. There's like rivers and valleys, and there's like mountainous areas, but it's all green valleys and stuff. And they're talking about all these ponds and water features and stuff that are there.
Oh,
But then if you,
interesting.
because you know, you go on Google Maps, if you try and look at, and it's all white, and it's that
all white.
pixelated, it's all blocked.
Yep, all blocked.
So,
you can't see anything.
nope.
It's
Yeah.
very weird.
But
Very,
back then,
very weird.
footage of it, you could actually see that, yeah, it's actually green spaces. It looks like, you know, Alaska, where you have like the funny,
Yeah.
not really inhabitable, but they said that there must be warm spots there because they have all the bases. It's weird. It's
It is
very weird.
I had somebody in the chat just talk about the field arts and stuff, and how we also mentioned the government declassified footage of a possible UFO, and why always USA? It's not always USA.
Oh, with the UFO, all the UFOs are only in the States. Yeah, well, but England had all the crop circles, though.
Yep.
No,
did have all
England
the
had
crop circles.
circles.
There was a couple of mention of the orange lights, because there was orange lights mentioned. I saw some orange lights back in 2007 in Destin, Florida. And then I seen information of people seeing orange lights over the beaches in Destin, Florida in 2011. But then when I looked that up, there was orange lights in France. There was orange lights in Scotland. So it's out there. You just got to research it.
It seems intelligent, and I was messing with them because they tell you to take a laser pointer. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell the FAA.
Can't tell anybody.
But they were in the trees. Like you could see that they were hovering above the trees. That they weren't aircraft, and they'll avoid the laser.
Oh,
yeah. Pretty weird.
Really?
Yeah, something is intelligent. So whatever's going on, it's emitting a source. So it's got to be something electric or whatever it's doing.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's got its own energy.
Happening. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I know whenever I researched you, because of course I have to stalk all my guests, because I gotta find out more information about you guys. There was a mention of like imitation spirits at Graestone Manor. Can I explain what those are?
Like mimics? Mm-hmm. Did you say imitation?
Imitation, yeah.
Yeah, they do mimic. They mimic your voices. Yeah,
we've had the spirits.
Yeah, we've had that happen to guests and to us. We've experienced it myself, my husband and I. We had one when we first moved in, it was probably about a year or so after we were in, I was painting what's now the red room. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm going to paint this room red. It's going to match the carpet. It was good, like a burgundy. But if you ever paint anything red, it's a huge pain in the ass because you have to paint like 50 coats to make it actually look red. So I'm all that. Oh my God. So I'm in there painting. And all of a sudden I'm hearing my husband, and I call it the Scooby-Doo hallway. It's a big long hallway that goes down to our room at the end. The house is very long. It's got all these doors coming off of it. And I'm at the very end room, and that's where the red room is. So I'm painting up on a ladder, and all of a sudden I'm hearing him saying, Heather. He's saying my name, Heather, like calling me. And I'm like, yeah, what? But I have music playing, but it's loud enough, and I come over the music, and I'm like, what? And then I look, there's nobody in the hallway. I'm like, that's weird. But it sounded like he was right outside the door, of the room. So I put the music back on, I'm painting it here again. Keeps calling my name. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, where are you? And I'm calling, and I look, and I'm like, okay. And it happened again. So finally put all my stuff down, put all my paint down. I go walking, looking, like, where are you? I go all the way down to the very end room, the other end of the hallway, which is like our room, and he's in there watching TV. And I'm like, were you calling me? Like, what? I said, what? What's going on? He goes, what do you mean? I go, why are you calling me? He goes, I wasn't. I'm like, what?
So they were playing you.
And I think they were messing with me because they knew I was up on a ladder and I was painting, and they kept like, messing with me. I'm like, what the hell? And then a couple weeks later, I'm at work, and I start getting messages from parents, text messages going, where are you? And I'm like, I'm at work. He goes, no, seriously, stop effing around. Where are you? And I'm like, I'm at work. He goes, well, I know your car is in here. I thought maybe your sister dropped you off or something because we were working together. And I'm like, no, I'm at work. He goes, why? What's fun? He goes, holy shit. I go, why? What's happening? He goes, I have been following you around the house for at least a half an hour. He's going, you keep calling me from different parts of the, first you were in the basement, and then you were like, I go all the way to the basement, nothing. And then I'm hearing you upstairs in the kitchen. You're calling my name, Bob, like that. And he's like, he's getting pissed because he's like, where are you? And it was coming from all different areas of the house. And he was following me around for a good half an hour. He said he was getting that's why he's texting me like, where are you? That
kind of reminds me of the Conjuring movie where they were doing the clap. Oh my God.
Yeah. And like he said, it was freaking him out because he said it was my voice, straight up my voice. And like I said, he's a skeptic. He's not anymore living here because they definitely know quite a bit, because they like to get a reaction, and he'll
definitely give him one, huh?
they've thrown things at him. They've done all kinds of stuff. And like he said, the one time, because our room, it's like we have the house sort of separated, where we have like a few rooms that are at the back of the house, the servants area of the house, that it's like our area. So people don't go in there, but it's also one of the most active areas. We put a door to close that off. So we do experience things in there. But he said it was one time, well, it's happened more than once now, but there's a woman with long black stringy hair. She's wearing like a white gown, almost like a nightgown. And she has long black stringy hair, looks greasy, almost looks like she's sick, like sickly, like she had been sick for a while. And we see her in the hallway. People have seen her. And Ginger, the lady who lived here before me, her kids used to complain about this lady all the time. They would see her, and it was freaked out. But she's in our room a lot. Her son used to complain because he had our room before us. That was her teenage son's room, and said that he would bother him all the time, wake him up, and he would wake up and see her standing there. It was really creepy. And then the one time, because I would get up earlier sometimes, my husband was working second shift, so a lot of times he would sleep in till like 1 or so, because he would have to get up and go to work. And he said the one time he was in there, he was sleeping, and he said now it's happened multiple times. But he said he thought I got back into bed, because he said he felt the bed. He was on his side. Yep. He was sleeping. He felt the bed come down, pushed down, like someone was crawling into bed, and then an arm wrapped around his side, like I was, I'm like hugging him.
Yeah.
And he reached back to like touch me, and there was nothing there. He sat up and looked. He was like, and he was like, it woke him up. So he was waking up to that feeling, like he felt this happening, because it woke him up.
Yeah.
And absolutely insane. That freaked him out. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
You've actually written books on Graestone Manor, correct?
Yeah, yep, I did. I wrote a
Um,
book on haunting Graestone Manor, it's called, and that was, I think it was released in 2020. And that was all the evidence that we had gotten so far as far as the history, what we knew, because I had reached out to other families who lived here, trying to sort of compare notes, but see what they experienced, what they were dealing with, and the one lady was like, "Well, they're not up to any new tricks. They're doing a lot of the same stuff they did when we lived there. Like they're doing the same
oh,
stuff, like grabbing your feet when you try and walk down the stairs and pushing you and seeing the people in the hallway and all that." So they're experiencing quite
oh,
a few of the same things. They actually had to have. We have a psychic community nearby us south of Buffalo called Lilydale. And
mm,
it's like a little psychic community with all these little cottages, and all these psychics live there, and they do readings, but they do speeches and all kinds of stuff there. Um, and she had to have reverends come up from Lilydale to do exorcisms on the house 4 different times to try and calm the energy down, because
oh,
it would
wow.
ramp up, and things are getting thrown at people, doors are slamming. But they were also mad at her because she was ripping the house apart, because she was
Yeah,
running all new electric, all new plumbing. So she's ripping up floorboards, ripping up, poking holes in the
yeah.
walls, doing all kinds of stuff. A lot of the upstairs rooms didn't even have electric in them. They would have like one outlet, like going way back to like 1911. So she had to like rerun everything. Um,
Holy
so they
cow,
didn't really,
bless her heart.
yeah, all they saw was that she was tearing the house apart. And she took the whole house is covered in Victorian wallpaper going back to the
Oh,
1800s. Every inch of this house is wallpapered, and she took it all off the walls. She removed all the wallpaper. I would have saved a punk
oh,
in each room and framed it and been like, "Hey, this is
yeah.
what was in this room," because it does get bad over.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah,
you went out on me. It does get bad over time, and then I got nothing after that.
okay.
But, so, yeah, I know wallpaper does get bad over time, and I
Oh
would be
yeah.
like you and want to make sure it gets framed and
Mhm.
put up somewhere so you say this was in this room and this was in that room. That would have been amazing if
Yeah, because then you
she
could at
did.
least have a sample of it. Like, oh yeah, this is the style that was in here.
Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, how
Mm-hmm.
sad. Ugh.
Yeah.
So, what actually makes Greystone Manor so much haunted? Is it more haunted than any of the other places in the area, or is it the whole area?
I looked into ley lines. Do you know what ley lines are? The
Mm-hmm.
circle of planet. There's their power grid lines.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the the year 1000, that's why they built all the cathedrals. They thought the world was ending. They thought the world
Oh.
would end at the when it turned the year 1000. So they started building all these cathedrals to
Mm.
God. So, and they're all built along the ley lines. And so are the pyramids. Like all these
Huh.
major ancient structures, Machu Picchu, like all those in Peru, everything,
Mm.
it's all built along these power lines, these ley lines. If you look up a ley line, just Google ley line maps, and if you zoom in onto New York State, we're on two cross ley lines. Gasport, right where we are,
Oh.
two cross at a cross, because they don't cross often.
Right.
That is like ground zero. Spirit activity, you're going to have craziness going on. And one of the ley lines goes up towards Montreal, and the other ley line goes up towards Toronto, and then they arc down into like Savannah, Georgia, and the other arc comes down
Mm.
into like New Orleans, that sort of area. But you can sort of see the power grid. And that's one big thing. But then the history here is so crazy that the fact that there's a huge burial mound that they don't even know who or what's buried, that's
Mm.
never been dug into. But with the one owner, this lady Mina, she was here till she was almost 100, and she had gone
Mm.
blind the last like 30
Wow.
years she lived here and all that. But she never touched anything on the property, never sold any of the land. It was still all farm fields. It was still exactly as it was when her parents bought it in 1923, and then when the Roots owned it and everybody else. So it all stayed intact. And because of that, because she was here and she refused to sell, and people kept trying to buy it from her for years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
And then she was almost 100, and she has had like dementia. She was a
Bless
hoot.
her
I guess
heart.
she was a real character. She had a big varmint gun next to the door, kitchen door, and people would come to the house to try and bug her or sell her things or whatever. She would stick the gun out at him. She's blind and wave it around, and be like, "Get off my property!" And she got a loaded gun. She's blind. Like, oh my god!
Oh my
So,
god.
and this is like the nieces and nephews telling me all these stories because they would come and take care of her, bring her
Yeah.
food, take care of the house, and try and do what they could. But anyway, so for me, it's just this whole region has got so much crazy history. But then you have, it's all limestone. First of all, in Medina sandstone, it's all water-based stone, which holds energy. It's all residual. It's like
Right.
battery everywhere. That's what Niagara Falls is all
Mhm.
limestone. And then there's the War of 1812 that happened to this area as well. And then you had with the Native American burial mounds out back, but then to find out that we were an Erie Canal workers encampment site, and they found all those graves. They found 17 people buried on the property. And then they found up in the field behind the house there where the burial mound, that's where they encamped because it was high ground, because it was a burial mound. It was a big hill in the middle of our field. And the historians that were doing all this research that we've been working with, all the research, they said that there would have been about 1,000 people up there. That's how big the group was digging the canal. And then they would dig that section of the canal and they would, uproot everything and go further up the canal and then dig in that spot. So they found all kinds of evidence of them being up there. They found like neighbors when they were kids. They said that this man is in his late 80s, but he said when he was a little kid, they would go up in the field and dig around when it would rain because the arrowheads would shine when the rain would hit the arrowheads look shiny. And they would go, they collected arrowheads. They said there were a whole bunch of little white pipes up there. And they would find everything from like shards of glass to china to everything. And then the historians were here in that field digging around in the 1990s. Then they found Spanish real coins going back to like the 1700s. And a lot of the coins were like predating the United States and our currency, because what was happening was back then when they were doing a lot of trades like pelts and things like that, when there were traders and trappers up in this area, they were using francs and Spanish real coins and the different countries because we didn't have our own currency at the time. But then they figured out that they were paying the workers with Spanish real coins, which then were outdated, outlawed in 1835, they said. So they found 7 of them in one area. And like the one historian was saying, your whole lifetime, if you find one, it's like really rare. And then they found 7 of them in one spot. And they found tons of musket balls. And can't remember the name of these. And they find them all the time at Gettysburg. It was used during the Civil War, but they're the longer bullets with the ridges on the back. It's called I can't remember the name of it. But they found a bunch of those up there. I have them. I have bags of stuff that they dug up out of the graves too. This was grave 1413. They found bones. They dug into one of the graves with a post hole digger, which is really gross. Let's see, but anyway, bones started coming up. So they were finding all kinds of crazy stuff up. I can't find this back there. But anyway.
That's all right.
But they were finding all kinds of everything from nails to weapons to bullets to pieces of glass to pieces of china. So they found their chuck wagon and everything. So they know that there were a bunch of people up there basically. And that when they died, they just buried them in the field next to where their encampment was. And that ends up being right next to our kitchen. So that's all these people buried right there. We knew because we were told by the 3 previous owners that there were a bunch of unmarked graves on the property. We knew that. We just didn't know where they were exactly. And then these historians brought the radar, the ground penetrating radar machine. They were dowsing. The one historian works for a cemetery locally, and he uses dowsing rods to find graves. It'll cross. You can do it. If you go to a graveyard, it'll cross over the grave and then it'll uncross. So when you're walking up to the grave, it'll be like this, and cross as you get to the grave, and then it'll. So he was able to pinpoint 17 people, and they're all buried true east-west, meaning they're Christian burials. If they're randomly placed in it, they said that a lot of times the Iroquois and the Native Americans, when they would bury people, they would bury them in a fetal position, curled up. So they don't read like a regular long grave would. You know what I mean? Like a 6-foot grave.
Yeah.
And then he brought the radar just to validate what he was getting with the dowsing rods. And sure enough, they were there. He found them. And they're all 6 feet deep. So they're all dug down 6 feet deep. But he said they were so poor, the people digging the canal, they didn't have caskets or anything. There weren't graves. So they would usually take their clothes and just bury them wrapped in like a sheet or a blanket, and bury them in the ground.
Oh
Because
gosh.
they would take their clothes and everything when they die. So anyway, so you got that. And then you have all the stuff going on with the different families moving in here. Then you had the canal, and then you had all the people coming in for the racetrack. They were all politicians who lived here. You have they were also an Underground Railroad site. So Curtis, who lived here, 1860 bought it. Sorry, 1865. And he was here till he died in 1889. His wife was here, and they were here till 1923, the rest of the family. But he owned a plantation down in Virginia the whole time he owned this house at the same time. And what he was doing was, it was a horse racing and breeding farm, and it was a racetrack. So they were having races there, and they were training jockeys and stuff down there. So it was a whole horse riding, training jockey camp thing that he had, the plantation. But they were also part of the Underground Railroad. His grandfather, Erastus Root, who's like a very famous politician. He was best friends with Thomas Jefferson. He helped write the Louisiana Purchase. He did all this stuff. He was a senator in New York for like 35 years. And he tried to pass anti-slavery laws in New York State in like the 1830s, way before the Civil War. So anyway, they were smuggling people up with the racehorses. What they would do is they would bring them up here to race them, the ponies, and the slaves would come up with the ponies. And as their groomsmen, as handlers, as jockeys and stuff like that, drop these ponies off, and then they disappear. And people are like, hey, where'd those people go? And they're like, oh yeah, they went back home. But they really went up the road. If you drive up Route Road 10 minutes this way, heading north, you hit Lake Ontario and you're over into Canada. And then you can cross the lake and get into Canada. So they were shuttling people up. And also Frederick Douglass, who's a very famous abolitionist, was really good friends with the Roots and all that. And he lived in Gasport 6 months out of the year. So this was ground zero for the Underground Railroad stuff. And he lived in there's a big red brick house that's like right over the little bridge, the canal bridge. And so he was right nearby too, within like a couple miles of here. So it was a huge Underground Railroad operation, this whole area. And that was all part of that too. And then everything from that, the UFOs, I don't know why it's such a, as far as the history here, there's just so much weird stuff that went on here. And then all the deaths that happened on the property, people died. And we had like the Kuckenbergs were in here. So you had quite a few things going on all at one time, you know. And then who knows what happened, you know.
Yeah. There's no telling, especially back then, unless somebody wrote it down somewhere and documented it.
And the fact that we know as much as we do is pretty cool as far as the families go and what they're actually. It's pretty neat to get all that evidence too.
So when was the time that that Graestone Manor attracted the attention of Kindred Spirits and Nick Roth? And what was it like whenever they called you and were they like, hey, we heard your house was haunted, can we come?
That was so funny too, because at the time I wasn't really watching those shows. I didn't know who Kindred Spirits was. I didn't know. And they say on the show that we reached out to them. I didn't. I never knew who reached out to them. I think I suspected it was a friend.
Somebody that knew you.
It was friends of ours at the time. This girl was sort of involved in some of the TV shows. I think she was doing some like reenacting and stuff like that for some of the shows that were done. And a good friend of mine, this guy, Dan, he owns the Hinsdale House, which is south of us.
I know Dan.
So you know Dan Glass, right? So I worked with his mom for years and stuff too. So, but I used to go there. I would, we did a bunch of investigations there. So I wondered if he might have mentioned it as well, because he had a lot of people there, like at his place. And he's really good about the other locations in the area, because this is such a we joke about all the time, but this whole Niagara region, it's very strangely active. We have a lot of locations, right? But we all work together. We all tell everybody about, like, hey, you should check out that winery, this Margin Manor. They have all these, all the stuff that went on there. It's right up the road from us. And so we tell people, like, because the people ask, what else is there to do in the area? And New York State's pretty cool. They have something called the Haunted History Trail. It's a booklet that they release every year, and it's all the haunted locations.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know who Brian Kano is, but Brian is like the spokesperson for them. And so all the different counties, they all, if you want to, you can sign up to be in this program. And it's actually federally funded through the state. It's all put up by
interesting.
Government. Yeah. And I could get you a copy on this one laying around somewhere. But it's really, really cool thing. And but anyway, so they have it broken down by like, oh, these are places you can stay in, B&Bs, these are restaurants, these are parks that you can go to, or this is like a church. So they break it down into different categories, so you
Oh,
could sort
that
of
would be
choose.
so easy.
Because
Yeah.
people come in along the trail, they'll work their way along the trail from like Albany. They'll come all the way in, stopping at like the inns, and then they'll go to
Yeah.
restaurants. They'll stop at all the locations all the way to get to this area. Because coming into the falls, there's more areas that are haunted. Obviously, Niagara Falls has its own history with all the Maid of the Mist
Yes.
and the crazy
Mhm.
sacrifices and all the nuts things that happen. And then I was told by one of the historians, I didn't know this, but he's Native American, and we were talking about that exact reason, like, what's going on here, why is it so active, what's going on. He goes, well, the Senecas were cannibals. They would wipe out these other tribes. They wiped out the Erie Indians, and they would eat all the Braves because they thought that it would absorb their energy, they would
Their
absorb
energy, their
their
strength.
fighting power. And they also took out the neuter Indians. There were a whole bunch of different ones that they wiped out. They were very aggressive, but they were cannibals. And then when the
Right.
French, like 1500, when the French first got to this whole area, and they were trying to bring Christianity and explain to them, like, hey, you should be eating people. It's bad. It's probably not a good thing.
Bad and K.
Yes, they are trying to explain to them. So there's a lot of that going on too, which I had no idea. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that makes it even weirder. So there was like a lot of that going on. So there's cannibals as well. So there's like so much, and that's literally on our land. Because
Wow.
the neuter fort was the place that had all the giants. And they were right up the road from us. They're right there, 10 minutes away. And that's the skirmish that happened in the field, because they said there was definitely a battle on your yard. There was some sort of fighting, something happening. There's tons of bullets up here. We're finding all kinds of stuff that points.
Wow.
Mm,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
there.
Well, you were
Yeah.
on the Kindred Spirits one time, so apparently somebody told them about you guys, but not only once. You were on there like 4 times.
Yeah,
They kept coming back.
yeah,
Or
they asked me to come back to, well, it was so funny because when they came here to do the episode, it was during like the first wave of COVID stuff. And
Right.
their psychic Chip that they work with, he was having a lot of health issues. He couldn't travel.
Yeah.
Very susceptible to anything sort of coming down the pike. So he wasn't really able to travel, but he was doing remote stuff. So he would do his, they would show him the house on their phones, and he would do remote. And then in person, they were asking me, since I was a psychic, they asked me if I would help them like run a seance and do some other things for them while they were here. And I did like card readings for them. I did a whole bunch, obviously all that stuff didn't make it on camera, but I was doing a lot of stuff for them, psychic wise. So what happened with the funny thing, the one thing you see it in the episode, there's a scene where we are in the basement, we're doing a seance, and Chip was on a laptop computer at the end of the table, and Adam and I and Amy were sitting together doing a seance. We're sitting around candles and stuff, and we were asking him to just show us signs and all kinds of funny stuff. And then Amy brings out a bag. It's like a lunch bag, like zipped closed, and she goes, can either of you guys, Chip, tell me what's in this bag? And I'm like, oh, because I do psychometry, which is where you hold an item and I can tell you like things from it, or who it belonged to, or if it give you some information on items that people would have owned, like a ring or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I go, well, can I touch it? I don't want to feel the bag. I just want to put my hands on it so I can see if I'm reading anything from this bag. And she goes, yeah, sure, go ahead. So she put it on the table in front of me, I put my hands on it, and all of a sudden I'm getting dirt. I was smelling dirt, flowers. And I go, oh, it's like dirt or flowers. And I go, no. I go, it's grave. I think this is graveyard dirt. And then I go, but there's 2 things in here. I go, the other thing that's in here, I go, it's like a mishmash. It's like pieces of, feels like there's like 100 people, but it's all fragments. I go, so I don't know what you got in here, but it's 2
Like
different,
bones?
both burial things. One cemetery dirt, one feels more like crunched up bones, or like a lot of people. And I go, and Amy, they broke the record for the amount of times they said the F word, because Amy was just sitting there going, what the F? What the, what the? They're both like, what do you, how? They're going, how did you do that? And I'm like, why? What is it? And they unzipped it and they go, it was 2 to-go coffee cups with lids. They took a shovel and they took a shovel full of dirt from the graveyard, the graves we found, and that was in 1 cup. And then they went up into the burial mound at the high field, and they took a shovel, put a shovel full of dirt from the burial mound in the other cup. So that's what was in there.
Oh my gosh, I'm surprised nothing hurt them in the process.
Well, we did a ceremony after, and we reinterred. We put the dirt back. But then after that episode, they kept reaching out, and they're like, "Hey, would you be able to do another? Would you do a guest psychic appearance for us? We're going to go to this place nearby you." And we're like, "Yeah, absolutely." Yeah, to me, because I take a lot of notes when I do readings for people. I ask my guides to write down. And when it came to me doing those other episodes, I think I did 4 other episodes. 3 other, I don't know. Yeah, 3.
The Haunting of Graestone Manor, Disorderly Conduct, What Lies Below, Gore of the Occult.
Yes, that would be it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 4.
Beware the Cult. And then the one with the house with the Beware the Cult. What was the other one? Beware the Cult.
The Haunting of Graestone Manor, Disorderly Conduct, What Lies Below, and Beware the Occult. And
there was one other one. Because I did
then that's 5.
Girl with the quilts. The girl makes Missy's place.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what was funny is I would take notes, and when they would ask me to do another location, they would send my husband a message with the address and everything. As I don't want to know where I'm going, and I don't want to know what the place even is. Don't tell him anything about it. Tell him, because he's going to drive me, because I can't know where I'm going. And they're like, "Yeah, that's no problem." And then, but I said, just send me a picture though of something that has to do with the location. Like it could be just like a door or the side of the building, or like, I don't want anything that would give me a clue to where I'm going, but just something so that I could focus on it. Something that has to do with the building. So they would send me a picture, and it was so funny because I started taking notes, and it started getting crazy. Adam has a museum in Rhode Island, and he has 2 of my note pages there. He has them framed because of the stuff that I wrote down. Everything was there, like everything that I would say, like the Palmyra Museum. I'm like, well, there's donkeys. They kept calling them Jennies, and I talked about that medical bag and that episode with the medical bag. That was all written in my notes. I said, what's causing trouble here is there's a bag. It's medical equipment. And so you see me in the episode. That's what but it was all in my notes ahead of time, and I actually read them out. But anyway, so they kept asking me to come back for more episodes to help them out. And then the sad thing is, if they had picked up the next season, because they were like, "We were having so much fun with you, we're blown away." Like the stuff that I was, they was freaking them out. And they're like, "We would love to have you on more as a regular." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And let me know when you do anything. So that's why I hooked up with those guys, just from doing the show, and then creeping them out. That's creeping pretty good. The one Beware the Occult, that one was those people, Pittsburgh, I think they were in. That was so funny because all the notes I took, because they're at the location for like 4 or 5 days. Sometimes they're there for a while. They're already there like 3 days. I came in like on the 4th day, and they were freaking out because they had no idea this lady was a psychic and all this stuff. And she was saying all the things. But in my notes, I wrote, there's a woman who's a psychic there. They're doing occult stuff. I called her out. My guides were completely calling her out. And so when I got there, they're freaking out, going, "Oh my God." And I said, "Well, you should have called me first. I could have told you." It was all written down. I wrote all of it. I showed them the sheets, and they were like, "What the hell?" I'm like, "Yeah, they already told me."
Oh my gosh.
That's what's happening here.
Wow. I've gotten chill bumps quite a few times just from you saying a couple of things here in the show.
Creepy.
But
definitely creepy, but
that is very creepy when you got somebody like you that can do that can actually just get something. And I'm sitting there going, how the fuck are you doing anything like this? Like, if you were to tell me there was somebody over my shoulder right now, I'd be like, all right, whatever. But if you went into detail on it, I'd been like, what?
Yeah, and that's why I like to do the notes ahead of time, because then that way they can't say that I'm just adding on to whatever they're talking about. And plus, also, they're not asking me questions on anything in particular. I just write down whatever my guides want to talk about. Like, they want to hear you talk about. They'll say, mention this, tell them this is happening. And Chip was actually talking about marks or sigils being written like weird, cryptic.
Yeah.
that floor, and they wrote about it. They said there's marks written in the upstairs attic, and it's like witchcrafty stuff. And I said it was like a bunch of teenagers are there, and they're mostly screwing around. But there's one weird thing that happened at that house too, which was really funny. It didn't make the show or anything, but we were out back. Amy was talking to the lady who owned the house. Adam and my husband and I were sitting out back, and they had like food and snacks and stuff. We were sort of sitting out there, and the backyard sort of goes up to a hill, and there's a shed, and then there's a weird lane that cuts back behind their row of theirs on their street, and it goes into like a wooded area. But there's like a weird little lane that you can sort of walk down. You can barely drive down it, but anyway, it's a cut through. You can tell it's like a path that people cut through. Right. And I'm sitting there, we're talking, and I mean, all of a sudden I get this whiff of death, like something died, like strong, and I'm like, whoa, and I go, oh, okay. And I'm asking, what is that? And they said, well, they found a dead guy behind the shed. A guy died, overdosed or something. A young guy, 30 maybe. They found him. These people in the house found him behind the shed. His body was there. And I'm like, do you know anything about them finding a body? Like somebody died in their yard, which is like 50 feet away. It's right there. He goes, oh, I don't know. She didn't mention that. And I said, well, you got to go ask her. And he went in, and sure enough, they said, yeah, when they first moved in there was somebody died back there. And I'm like, what the hell? So things like that will happen. It'll just sort of jump out at me and I'm not paying attention. That was one of those weird ones where I'm not paying attention. We were just talking about goofy stuff, and I got this like, hey, you should know this happened.
I don't want any more food. It stinks.
Yeah. So weird stuff happened, but for me, that's how I like to take a lot of notes. So that's why. Yeah. So Adam is here because he comes here every year we do like a big celebrity ghost hunt thing here in June, and he was like, yeah, I have those framed. They're in my museum. I'm like, oh my god, that's so funny, because I wonder. That is awesome. So I just want to make sure they kept them because it's sort of a funny. That lines up.
Not only that, whenever you have stuff like that lines up with the show or lines up with what you're talking about and seeing and doing at the location, stuff like that. My husband gets on to me all the time because I have files and files of videos from all my seasons of podcasts and all my investigations. I've got investigation stuff back 2012 that I have not gone all the way through still, and it's 2026.
Right.
Finding the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how did Nick Groff and Tessa get involved with Graestone?
They were, so her mom Gail, because I used to do a lot of psychic shows for years, like I don't know, 12 years, long time. And she was, because it was local, Buffalo, they're from this area, Tessa and her, right? They grew up here in the Falls area. And so I would do a lot of shows with her mom. And then Tessa had gone to, I think she went for training or whatever to do her psychic stuff as well. I mean, they're really gifted. Those guys are amazing. But anyway, so she was in this area, but I had known those guys. And then when Nick went to do the first episode of the Hinsdale House, he and I guess Dan really hit it off, and they became really close, became really good friends. And then through, I think, Dan, that's how he met Tessa, I think. And I don't really know, but I think that's how they met and everything. So anyway, so I know those guys, and they had been here before. They did an investigation here the one time, and then they did, it's a drinking game. If you watch Death Walker, do you ever watch his show Death Walker at all?
I've seen a couple of episodes, but I haven't been able. I can't sit down long enough to watch episodes. I know. I'm a one-woman crew. I had to do all the graphics and the editing, and stuff.
But they did so the first, I think, 3 seasons, they kept using our house. They kept using Graestone for reenactment scenes. So it's like, if you've been here, it's a drinking game. Like, wait, that's the gold room. But we did. I think we were.
Well, I want to have to check out this drinking game.
Well, we set it for we're the location for Myrtle's Plantation, the Haunted Hill House, I think part of Winchester Mystery Mansion, a bunch of big sites, because they did all the, obviously the on-site investigation. They do all that, and then they do the reenactment for the history stuff here. So they were here quite a bit. They were here a bunch of times for like 3 seasons. So they kept coming back, and then it was really funny because they do like which is funny. A place like this, you could just do like a corner of a room and be like, oh yeah, here we, you know what I mean? So it doesn't have to telling like where you are type of thing. But people who've been here, people who know the house, they're like, hey, we saw your house again. We saw the red room, so they knew what they were in. And then the last, I actually haven't seen that episode yet. I have to. That reminds me. They did an episode here. Did you see the episode that was here?
I've not seen it, but I did see where you posted about them going to do an episode for season 5.
But that was creepy. Yeah, they had that was that episode. It was really funny because they did their investigation and then they do the reveal. Right. So I'm sitting there and they're showing me some of the stuff that they found. And it was so creepy because here we have a lot of audibles. They're really chatty. They like to talk a lot here. Like you're talking. It's just whole conversations. Like last night, the girls that were here investigating, it was called haunted rooms. And they go all over the place and they do these things. They were hearing a whole conversation going on about it was a man and a woman talking about a lighter, or somebody needed a lighter or something. And they were like talking and they just thought it was like someone in the next room, or there's nobody talking. And it was like really loud. But anyway.
Oh, I love that. I love it when they start having conversations, or if you're talking and they start having a conversation in the background.
Like what? Oh. And so the episode they did here, though, the cool thing, the reveal was really neat because, which I don't think Tessa knew this. She said she went into the red room and it was freaking her out because she said, that's one of the only rooms I don't have window shears or curtains. It's like glass. I have stained glass on the windows, but you can still see through the glass to outside. Every other room in the house, like really, we pretty much have shades or curtains on the windows because you feel like you're being watched all the time from the outside. You feel like people are like looking at you, even though in the middle of the country, nothing around here. But she said she walked into the red room and she said she saw faces. She could see people looking at her from outside of the second floor window. And the reason that's interesting is she didn't know that. That's something that happens here. And the other funny thing is Ginger, when I think it was her 4th child, when he was a baby, he was about a year old because she had him on her hip. She said it got so bad with him at night, he would just point at the windows and scream. He was seeing something outside the windows that was freaking him out. And she said it got so bad, she had to put curtains on all the windows. She had to put shears or lace curtains or something to block the plain glass windows. Because he was so tripped out. He was absolutely like panicking. She said she'd walk through a room and he would just stop and stare and point at the windows and cry and freak out at the windows. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He's like a year old.
Why is the first scene that pops in my head is that scene from Medieval Horror where she looks out the window and those eyes are there. Oh my gosh.
So who knows, right? Who knows what she was saying? And that was the creepy feeling I kept getting, was that it felt like I was being watched all the time from outside. It was so but anyway, so they did this
on the second floor.
On the second floor. Yeah. And that's what she told me. She told me that. And when she told me this, I said, oh my God, she goes, it didn't make sense to me because it was the second floor. I'm like, no, but, and I explained that whole thing. She goes, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah. And they were playing a game in the kids' room where they put the recorder, I don't know what that's called, the old style recorder they use, the real old Russian ones that they hack. People try and find them. The SB, whatever. I don't know. But anyway,
the SP7?
No, it's the recorder.
No, that's the Spirit box.
Old timey, you know what I mean? It's the old timey recorders that.
Yeah.
The reason it's from like the 80s. The reason people like it is because it didn't have the filters in it, so it picks up every little sound, and it only records when it hears talking. That's the other thing. So you put it in a room for like an hour, and then go back and check it, and you can play it back, and it'll only play what it's been hearing. So it doesn't record just dead space. You're only hearing what it captured, when it heard sounds. And they were asking in the red room, whoever's in the kids' room, can you scream into that recorder? I want you to scream. There's a little silver recorder on the table. I want you to scream as loud as you can. And then we're going to come check. And so they were in the red room talking to whoever's at the kids' room from the red room, playing this game, right? We want you to scream in here. And they played it back. They did the reveal. They played it back. And sure enough, it's very vivid, loud. Like, you hear a man.
A man? It was a man?
Sound like a man. Like a deep scream. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that was crazy. So they caught that. There and actually Nick said something funny too. He said when he was doing with Katrina Wildman, when he did that show Deathwalker, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Deathwalker, or yeah,
No, the
Deathwalker.
her
Yeah,
paranormal. Hold no paranormal.
yeah,
Paranormal.
it
Oh
is
my god,
paranormal.
mine's going blank. The show he did
Geez,
with
mine
her.
is too. I'm not doing too well on naming these things.
Paranormal.
Lockdown?
But it's the show. I mean,
Oh my
he's
god.
he said he caught more evidence at our place.
Uh-huh.
It was more active. He caught more stuff here, and he hadn't had an investigation like this since he did that show with her.
Really?
Mm.
Oh my god. Was it Paranormal Lockdown?
Paranormal Lockdown. That's it. Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I know
I
some of these things.
I feel crippled. I can't Google on my phone.
I'm sitting here Googling the device that you're talking about because it's right on the tip of my tongue, and I'm like, what is it called? Let's see what our device is.
For which one?
That Nick uses that
The
digital recorder. Yeah.
1980s.
Geoport.
It's a 1980s digital recorder, but it's the one that you can't find them. Like people,
No.
spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on these things. Let me look them up.
But I'm not sure. I mean, he's got a couple of stuff called like the Wonder Box and the Pana Box and like that. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the recorder.
Right.
But I'll find it and I'll message you on Facebook and be like, "It's this," or you'll find it and you're like, "It's this."
Yep. Yeah. And so it's pretty cool. So they it's not really a hack, but they figured out that thing, because it didn't have the safety features or the frequency features that a lot of the new ones have, where it cuts down on hiss and noise and outside noise, and it doesn't have all that. That's why it picks up everything. So you'll pick up all kinds of crazy stuff on there, on those,
Yeah, I do love the old tape recorders, because to me, as long as it's a brand new tape and it's not something we're constantly recorded over and over again, because it does have that digital, not the digital, the what do you call it? The residue from previous.
Gotcha.
So if it's like a brand new tape, I can see using that and then just storing it and saving it. Don't record anything else over it, because that way you have your evidence of what you've found.
Yeah.
You sit there and look over the stuff that like the Warrens did with the recorders and the tape and everything like that, and you're like, oh, see, that's what I love is the old school, because digital recorders can also leave like a residue or anything. You can still record over the same SIM card or the SD card, and you might get something from that was recorded a while ago. So I try to get new SD cards when I go out somewhere to take pictures and everything. But I love the older stuff. Like, I'll tell everybody, if somebody asks me, what do I need when I go paranormal investigating? Well, yourself, first and foremost. A digital recorder, a camera, and a video camera. That's all. Because a lot of these other toys, like I want a spirit box. I love the spirit box. I love the immediate answer. But the white noise gets so frustrating. I'd rather have like a spirit box that has no white noise. Now, do you use any of that stuff? Well, you don't need it. You've got spirits right in your ear, so.
I do. Well, I like the dowsing rods. They're probably my favorite. And I use pendulums a lot. I like the old school stuff as well, like flashlights and stuff. But I have my Tascam recorder. That's probably my favorite. I get a lot of on there. The Tascam's really good. That's definitely my favorite by far. I use the dead bell. I use some of the new things. Just if I'm doing a lot of seances and stuff like that, I like to have things that will light up or that they can make noise and touch to let know that they're there, that kind of stuff.
Yes. But that stuff I like too. Like, I also like the cat toys. I love the cat toys. Yeah. Especially if it stays still for so long. Yes.
Stay on. How am I breaking it? Yeah. My bag of cat.
I love those. Buy a bag of cat toys. They're not expensive. They work great.
Those are the ones that I found. I'm like, okay, someone's gonna see them. Whoever they are, come and get them. They're here. But same. I agree.
Yeah, the old school stuff is all absolutely amazing. Now, do you see like full body apparitions whenever somebody does your, like, when I don't know Goodness gracious, I need more coffee. I cannot talk right now. Whenever your guides are trying to show you what other persons
Mhm.
are asking you, do you see the person they're wanting you to see as like a full, like me and you sitting right here, or do you see them as like a aura or a wisp or?
It's sort of like a mind's eye view. I know it sounds weird. But I have seen full body apparitions here. Like in the kitchen, I saw a woman walk through the kitchen and it's full color, full body. So I've seen it.
Wow.
But when I'm doing a reading for people, I will ask them to step forward, and I'll tell you what they look like. I'm like, okay, there's a woman. She's taller than, like, so I'll describe what she looks like. Haircut, and I'll say that she's saying it's your mother, but this is what she looks like. Does that sound right? And then they'll say, yeah, that's what she looked like,
Yeah.
or that, And I'll and like I do a lot of seances, and when I do seances, I'll tell you, like, there's a man stepping forward, like wearing a sailor outfit. He's purposely
Wow,
standing
specifics.
to let you know that he was military at one point and that you would recognize that and things like that. So they're like, yeah, that was my grandfather. I said, okay, because they say Navy in particular, not just military, it's particularly Navy or whatever it would be. So then they get detailed, and then they start giving me funny things. They'll start telling me names that would associate with people, like relatives nearby. Like they say their sister's with them. This is the name, so that kind of stuff.
How do you
Yeah.
handle the skeptic? Because my husband, like, I have had a couple of psychics tell me a couple of situations around the house and everything that goes on here. And he's like, oh, they're just full of it. They come up with something that's just in your area of what you like. So how do you handle the skeptics that do stuff like that?
I mean, I guess it just depends. If my husband is such a big skeptic, so I'm sort of used to the. But then I don't feel like I have to prove myself.
Right.
My dog's being a jerk. You don't hear it barking, right?
I do, but it's okay.
Because I could let him in here. He's just in the other room.
Oh, you can let him in. It's not a problem. You want to let him in?
I'd have to get up and go get him.
Oh.
I don't know what like being a jerk. But anyway, so when it comes to skeptics, no, I think it's just Dean, knock it off. It's Sam and Dean, my dogs. They're brothers.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
They're super brothers. He's Dean. He's a pain in the ass. He acts just like his character.
I was about to ask you that.
Yeah. Sam's big and friendly. He's bigger.
Oh.
But no, I would say, when it comes to skeptics, there's nothing you can do. I mean, I'm just telling you what I'm picking up, what I'm seeing. It is weird though, because a lot of times they'll pick on the skeptics, especially if there's like a ghost hunt going on here, because you know how that is. You'll always have the one person who's like, this is because of that, this is not happening because of that, and then sure enough, they're the ones who'll get scratched or touched. So usually they'll try and take care of it here, especially if people are being mouthy about it. We've had people scratched and messed with before, but I don't know. I don't usually people. It's
just come
one
to
of
the
those
point where you just don't care. They're gonna believe or they're not gonna believe.
Yeah. Either they're into it or they're not. It's one of those weird things. There's not much to do about it. I mean, and plus you could tell them everything under the sun. That completely matches or that jives. And they'll still be like, I wanted to talk to my sister who died. And you didn't bring her up. Like they'll do that kind of stuff, and I'll be like, wow. But they talk about everything else, So. Yeah.
Well, I have been to the Hinsdale house, and I absolutely loved the Hinsdale house. So I do want to make more trips out that way to be able to go and see a lot more places, especially on the East Coast, because there's so much history and so much stuff that's happened over there. I mean, every state in this country has history, of course, but that is like something where it first all began. You got the ships that came in. You got the people. My dad immigrated from Germany through New York and came down through to California and then back to Alabama. So it is a lot of history going on in New York and Connecticut and Rhode Island and New Hampshire, all the little small states over there. So
I used to
maybe one day.
Oh yeah, and my sisters, two of my older sisters, moved to Boston years ago when they were like 18 years old. Then they lived there forever. And so we used to go out to Boston, and that's those cities. Boston is just crazy, you know, because there's so much going on there. Like I
Yeah.
just
Oh my god.
just pick up everything. And then it's interesting out in Boston too, like New Hampshire. My aunt lived in Connecticut for her whole life as well, but it's almost like the colonial. If you go antiquing or anything, you see all the colonial stuff.
Oh yeah.
Very, very different. Here, like in New York, you get a lot of the Civil War stuff. So there's different phases. The colonial, you get all the 1600s, 1700s, you get like the witch museums and all that. So it's very, very different. And my sister lived right in, well, they were in Peabody for a while, but they're in Swampscott and ended up in Lynn. And so they were in Revere. So they lived in Revere for, but those were all the
Wow.
witch trials all were. And
Yes.
they were in Danvers. So they think that the witch's hanging tree was in Danvers. So it's pretty cool. So she lived right in that area, and it was just weird. You could feel it. I could feel it just wandering around in her neighborhood. It just feels strange. Like you can feel the layer,
Oh.
you know. So that stuff will hit me like, well, even though I'm not focusing on it, but then you can't avoid it. Like certain places I'll go
Right.
to, like, okay, hi, I know you're here. I feel like I'm here. And I've had people Shanghai me before, you know, where people will ask me, a friend of mine,
Uh-oh.
I used to work at this at the casino. We would do parties, you know.
Uh-huh.
Oh, did I go blank again?
Yeah, you did.
But anyways, so she would ask. She asked me. Her dad had passed away, and she said, "Any messages from him?" And I said, but we're in the middle. We're setting up. We're getting everything organized for this big party, and I'm like, well, yeah, let me focus on him later. I'll let you know if I hear anything from him. But because she brought him up, all of a sudden he was right there, right in front of me. And I'd never met him before. I didn't know him. I didn't really know anything about her family at all. I knew her dad passed. And I said, well, your dad's here. And he says he's really pissed off about your brother, saying he's not helping and that he's a Johnny come lately, which is just a weird saying. And then he's asking, he's like, got his hand out. He wants your money. And that your dad is really pissed at him because he's refusing to like help or do the right thing. And he's like causing trouble in the family. And it shouldn't have been that way. Like there's no reason for it to be complicated like this. He's just being a pain in the ass. And she's just, her mouth is just wide open, like, what the hell? She goes, yes, it's exactly what's going on. We just had a huge fight. He's being a huge pain in the ass. But I said, well, just so he knows, your dad is calling him out, sees what's going on. Like stuff like that will happen. But he made sure that I heard him and that I told her.
Right.
I'm happy.
Immediately. Oh my gosh.
He's pissed about it.
You had to be like, you know, okay, back up a little bit. You're in my face. Let me.
But so things like that will happen. So with people, that'll happen to me sometimes. And I will get stuff. But you watch those TV shows, the psychics, there's certain ones, I won't say any names, but there's certain TV shows where they randomly walk up to strangers like in the supermarket and they're like, hey, your grandfather's here and says that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, first of all, you can't do that because even if I saw someone around you, and if you're not asking me, right, for help, or if you're not asking me about those family members or for reading,
kind of rude.
First of all, you can scare the heck out of somebody. Second of all, what if that grandfather abused her when she was little? And then all of a sudden you're saying your grandfather's around you and he's here. You know, like you don't know what you don't know what the dynamic was, right?
Right.
Between them. So unless you ask, and I had a friend, somebody in an elevator one time. There was a lady who was pregnant, and he started talking about the baby. Before the baby was born, I'm like, oh, I want to tell you about your baby and what the baby's gonna be like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, and she freaked. This woman was like, don't look at me, don't talk to me. I don't want to know anything, you know, and she freaked out because she didn't ask. He just started talking. Right?
Yeah.
You gotta be really, really careful. You can't just randomly, even though you may be picking up something on them. Because I can smell
You have to walk away, huh?
Yeah, I could sort of smell death on people sometimes too. They smell sweet. They smell sickeningly sweet, weird. Yeah. But decay, it's not good. Oh, it smells like did you ever have like a filling done? Like a rotted tooth smell? Yeah. It's weird. It's not good. And that used to happen when I was younger too, but I'd be like, do you smell that person over there? Did they smell?
Do they stink to you?
Do they smell weird like death?
Oh my gosh. So when that's
So
the case, is that like they're gonna die soon, or is that just maybe
right,
they're sick?
or they've got some chronic something's wrong that they're sickly.
Oh
Like,
gosh, does that break your heart, or do you just like? Well, you're probably used to it by now that you just.
well, it's just more weird. I mean, 9 times out of 10, the
Mm,
person probably knows there's something wrong or they're sickly. Because if I'm sensing
mm,
it, but maybe not, because it would be,
yeah.
or someone's like at a restaurant sitting at a table, and I'll walk by and be like, "Ooh, something's wrong with that person," and they seem normal,
Right.
like they're eating. I
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
goodness.
weird. But no, that'll happen. I'll definitely pick up on people around,
Mm,
around people. But I will, like you asked about how they look, and I'll ask
yeah.
them to show themselves to me. I
Okay.
did say it's weird, the psychometry thing. That's what I was talking about, where I hold items. That's why I do seances with people and even readings. I'll ask people to bring an item if you want. If you do want to talk
Mm,
to somebody, I'll take notes first. Don't even mention the person. When
mm,
you get here, we can see if we can contact them once you're here.
mm.
But that did happen to me. I had Elvis of all people.
Elvis.
Elvis of all people. Elvis. We're talking Elvis. Yeah, well, you're gonna think I'm absolutely crazy. So we had these people stay. It was 4 people. They wanted to have a
Hmm.
seance. I'm like, cool. They brought pictures and stuff of relatives, like normal, and I do Victorian seances where basically I do 3 white candles. I put the item in the middle of that, but then I'll hold it and I'll tell you like messages I'm getting from them as well. And then I put it in the middle of the
Right.
white candles, and then other stuff comes through. And so everybody brought something, and it was just like regular grandma, things like that. And then they had a younger, I think it was the one person's son, who's probably in his 20s, and he puts this ring on the table in front of me in the middle of white candles. So I'm like, put it there first, and then I'll pick it up and I'm gonna hold it.
Mm.
And I said, so who does this belong to? And they said, well, we can't tell you, but you know who it is. And I said, okay. And they said,
Mm.
wait, I know them? They said, yeah. Well, they said, you know who it is. You don't know them, but you know who it is. And I said, oh.
Oh,
So I
my
picked the ring
precious.
up.
Somebody in the chat said, "My precious." Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So I picked the ring up, and I'm like, huh, this is weird. I go, first for some reason they're showing me Elizabeth Taylor, and I still don't know. I'll have to get to the bottom of that. But for some reason they're showing me Elizabeth
Yeah.
1950s Elizabeth Taylor, young.
Oh, young, young.
But it could have been
Mm.
the E of Elizabeth though. And
Mm.
the EL of
Ah,
Elizabeth, because I was
yeah.
getting EL. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna, and then I'm like, no, no, no. And I go, wait a minute, does this have to do with Elvis Presley? Because all of a sudden I'm seeing Elvis Presley. and I'm not like an Elvis fan. I don't know anything about Elvis Presley. Um, and they just start laughing. They're like, yes. They're going, this is Elvis's ring. And I'm like, they're like, we were part of his entourage. The one guy was
Oh.
with him, traveled with him. He was part of the Memphis Mafia and all that. They said they were part of his like
Oh,
entourage
wow.
tour. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They go, we have a picture of him wearing the ring. He goes, it was after one of the shows. And he asked me what my birth date was. And I told him it was January, whatever the month, it was Garnet. I have pictures of me wearing it. It's really funny.
Oh,
And he goes, oh, this is your birthstone. And he took it off his hand and gave it to him. So there's pictures of him wearing the ring on stage. You can see him wearing it.
right.
And he said, yeah, he goes, I also have his Bible. It was on his nightstand next to where they
Yeah.
found him next to his bed. And I said, well, I go, he's really depressed. I was getting sadness, like crazy sadness, like really weird. And I said, he feels guilty that he had money. He keeps saying he felt so guilty, and why him, why him, why him? Why was I so famous and people around me? And they said, hey, the one guy goes, oh my God, he goes, in the Bible, he had a quote highlighted that said, why are my hands full of gold while everyone else is poor? And I'm like, what the hell? They go, yeah, he was always
Wow.
really bothered by that because it was him by himself. I'm like, why was it just
Yeah.
him? Like, why him? Um, and then they said, yeah, we had a whole bunch of things, that belonged to him. And that's how we ended up with that. But how bizarre. And I said he was also really sad and like depressed. And they said, yes, he would go into these weird jags, like depression
Oh, yeah.
down spirals, right? Um,
Mm.
but yeah, he was really struggling. He had a really, really hard time coming to grips with fame. Like, why was I famous? What
Oh.
was going on? And it freaked him out. But anyway,
Oh.
how
That
weird is
is
that?
sad.
Isn't that
That
funny?
is. That's too funny. Elvis Presley of all people.
Elvis is a big bummer.
He was very depressed. He's even depressed in the afterlife. I mean,
oh God, yeah, Debbie Downer. Poor Elvis. But it was. So how funny is that? Though, isn't that crazy?
But hey, that kind of proves your credentials there with somebody that.
Yeah. Then that was wild. Yeah, that was one of the weirder ones that I did. Definitely never expected that one. But it was weird too, because I know it sounds weird, but whoever I'm contacting when they come through, especially in seances, things like that, they'll come right up to me, and then I get their and this is gonna sound weird, but I get their whole vibe or their energy or their personality will come through, because I'll say, this person's really happy, they joke all the time, or this person is worried about this, or they seem to be blah blah blah. So I'll tell you the personality of the person too, because it's how they come across to me. You know.
Now, how do you do the reading? You do readings over like the internet and stuff like this, right?
Oh yeah, I do a ton of phone readings. Yeah.
Oh,
I ask people, like, if they want to have a reading, I tell them, just send me a photo, text me a photo of yourself, and just your first name. I don't want to know anything about you. Just your first name. I don't even know where you live. I don't want to know anything about you, because I've done readings for people in El Salvador and in France and all over the world, like all over the place. And it's really funny. You would think that people are different, but they really aren't. You know what I mean? Oh, there's all the same stuff that sort of comes through. It's funny because I'm receiving messages telepathically. So even if you don't speak my language, I'll understand what you're saying. I know that sounds weird, because spirits don't have a language, right?
Right.
It's telepathy. And it's telepathy because of your guides. They're angelic, because angels are all, they download thoughts, dreams. They spur you on, things like that telepathically. They'll put an idea in your head. That's why people will all of a sudden be like, wait, I have an idea. It'll come out of nowhere. So seemingly a lot of times your guides or angels are helping you. They're telepaths. And then also
telepath me more, please.
Yeah, they will help you ask, and then they also rule the animal kingdom. So animals or angels were created first, and then they created the animal realm, which is directly below the angelic realms. And the gods created the angels because they wanted to share love to beings, that made them very powerful. And then they wanted the angels to feel the same kind of love for something that they feel for them. So they had them rule the animal realm. So then they were taking care of the animal realm. Then the funny thing about the angels guarding the animals or taking care of the animal realms is animals don't have a language. Animals don't talk or speak. They bark, meow and stuff, but they don't talk, but they communicate telepathically because they're created by the angelic realm. And that's how angels communicate, is telepathically. That's why animals, if you watch like two dogs, they'll like look at each other and then both walk off in the same direction together. And you'll be thinking about, you're like, did I let the dog back in? I can't remember. And all of a sudden they'll show up. Oh, were you thinking about me? Because your animals are calling telepathically, because they communicate with humans telepathically. They'll send you messages.
I'm going to be staring at my dog tonight.
Trying to send stop barking. Dane, stop barking. He's not listening.
But he's like, I'm not listening to you.
And they said the funny thing about the angelic realm too, taking care of the animal realm, is if you pay attention when news stories happen, like say there was a house on fire, you'll see those stories where it's like all the animals got out, but the people didn't. The animals will always, or the angels will always choose animals over humans every time. If there's a choice between saving an animal or human, the angels, it's not that they don't like humans. They sort of, a lot don't like humans.
Well, we can be assholes.
Listen, we don't pay attention. We cause a lot of trouble. That's for sure. True.
Very much so. Very much so.
But the angels also cause trouble. So there's that. But so I think that's sort of fascinating. That's sort of neat with the telepathy. So I think that's sort of cool. So that's how anyway, when you asked about how do I get messages and things like that, that's what they'll do. They'll show me images. They'll show me things, show me people. Then I'll write down like what they're showing me. Things like that will happen as well. So when it comes to doing, that's why I have you send me a picture, because that way I have something to focus on. And then basically it's the focal point. I'm not really looking at your picture, but I really want to see your eyes because you can tell a lot by a person's eyes right away. Well, I can tell
definitely.
Experience. I can tell if they've had illnesses, all kinds of crazy stuff. So some things will just jump right out.
Oh,
you know?
wow. Interesting. Well, they say the eyes are the pathway to the soul.
True. True story, right? And then even if you reincarnate in, you know, your eyes will probably look the same. Different colors. Look, you know?
Oh my gosh, wow. Well, I just realized I have kept you on here for 2 hours, and I could probably still talk to you for 2 hours more.
And I'll just keep going until you make me stop.
Well, we will definitely have to get together again, even next season, to talk about the season 5 and other things that might go on with you and Graestone. But I do want you to tell everybody where they can find you and get these readings, where they can find your books.
Yeah, just go to our website. The best place is www.graestonemanor.com. That has everything on there. You'll see like there's a menu box that pulls down. All my psychic stuff is all on there. And you can send me messages through there. There's the phone numbers on there. You can always text to our landline, like our work line. And I'll get right back to you. So you can send me messages that way. But it's Graestone Manor, G-R-A-E. It's got a weird spelling because it's Scottish. So it's G-R-S-T-O-N-E, Graestone Manor. But that's probably the easiest way, best way to get a hold of us. Go right to the website.
Awesome. I want to thank you so
And
much
then we're
for
on
being on. You're on where?
Oh, I was going to say we're on all social media too. So we're on Facebook, Instagram.
Do you have like the EVPs and pictures and stuff that people have found on the website as well? Or
there's a bunch on I do a lot more on like the Facebook pages and things like that. I'll post quite a bit of those, the videos, photos people have found, things like that. But there's some on the website. I have to actually do more. But yeah. But I would say.
Oh, well, thank you, Viral. There's someone in the chat that's from Argentina and said that Kick recommended my stream. So hello, this is Heather Mattison, and I am actually letting her go. We've been on for 2 hours.
Oh, shoot.
But don't go anywhere. Stay right there. They can also find you on Facebook, Graestone Manor on Facebook as well, or...
Yeah, because it's Heather Mattison page as well. There's a Graestone Manor page, but there's also the Heather Mattison page. And it's Mattison. And then on the website, my book links are on there. It's all through Amazon. We're actually in Barnes & Noble as well. So you can find us through there. If you call it Barnes & Noble, so you can get my books. But easiest is probably through Amazon. We're on Amazon, so you can find all my books through there. You would type in Heather Reese Mattison. So it's R-E-A-S-E, both weird spelling. And then Mattison, M-A-T-T-I-S-O-N. So if you just Google my name or put my name in, usually the book links will come up as well. But that's all on the website too.
Oh, perfect. And do you have any kind of upcoming events or anything that you're going to be doing at Graestone?
On my calendar. Yes, I do. We have another the haunted stays. The group's coming back again in August, and I believe it's the end of August. But that's all going to be on the website as well. It's on our pages. They're going to be start promoting. And that's a big public event. You can come and investigate with them. We do public ones, but then you can come and investigate anytime you want. Like you can come book a room. We charge like $50 extra for a room, but then you get access to the whole house. You can investigate. You can go live. You can take pictures, do whatever you want. So we pretty much open the whole up. And if nobody else is in the other rooms, you can investigate all the other rooms. So it gives you access to everything.
That's perfect. I know what I'm going to be planning probably for next year. So
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Don't go anywhere. Do what?
Okay. No, I said thank you for having me on.
Of course. Those that are watching, thank you so much for watching and for participating in the chat. I really appreciate it. Next week, I'm going to have Ken Rommler on. He is also a co-host of Amok, Mostly Paranormal Podcast, which is the other podcast I do on Tuesday nights, and a very good dear friend of mine. Until next time, stay free, stay safe, always do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I'll see you guys later. Bye, y'all.
Switch it on and come along. Haunted houses all night long. Gaming streams and ghostly scenes. Just chatting with the in-betweens. IRL, she's on the case. Finding spirits in each place. Every game she plays with flair. G.E.E.K.S, paranormal, she's there. Ghosts haunted house she flies, gaining worlds under the skies. Chat and laugh, let's have a blast. Geeks Paranormal here at last. Ghosts and games all night. Geeks Paranormal's bright. Just chatting feels alright. Join the stream, it's quite a sight. She flies, gaining worlds under the skies. Chat and laugh, let's have a blast. Geeks Paranormal here at last. Ghosts and games all night. Geeks Paranormal's bright. Just chatting feels alright. Join the stream, it's quite a sight. In the dark, she finds the light. Streams of fun, she's out of sight. Every ghost and gaming fight. Geeks Paranormal shines so bright. In the dark, she finds a light. Streams so fun, she's out of sight. Every ghost and gaming fight. Geeks Paranormal shines so bright. Ghosts and games all night. Geeks Paranormal's bright. Just chatting feels alright. Join the stream, it's quite a sight. It's quite a sight.